Hi there, I am TR, the director and producer of Impact, here on the Patterson Public Access Cable Channel 75. Thank you for tuning in.
This episode has been sponsored by A Rose's Petals, located at 472 Broadway, right here in Patterson, New Jersey, between Madison Avenue and East 18th Street. Call A Rose's Petals for your floral arrangements and or any other request.
Hello, welcome to Impact. I'm Adele Hicks, your host. Today's guests are Cheryl Walters, President, and Nancy Robinson, Vice President, of the Sisters Network in Bergen and Passaic counties. Ladies, welcome. We're so happy to have you. I know you've got great information for us and a good story to tell. So Nancy, expound a little bit on the Sisters Network, a little bit about the history and your mission.
Well, our history is we've been doing this now for 10 years. We've been in Passaic and Bergen counties because that's where the main impact for women with breast cancer, African American women, that's where their mainstay is. Cheryl started our chapter here in Passaic County from her own home, and she got members in that, had breast cancer and were going through breast cancer at that time. She also got in touch with our national president, Karen Jackson, and that's how Sisters Network came to be. Karen put her into people in Newark, and she would travel back and forth for meetings and information, because there was no one like Cheryl always says that, and when she said that to me, it just hit home. There is no one like me. When I went to the other support group meetings that looked like me, and that's important because I felt so out of touch. So Cheryl started the chapter with a few of about 5 other women, and it's been going strong for 10 strong years now.
That's wonderful. Cheryl, I want to ask you, what made you become involved?
Well, what made me become involved was after I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I was bored. I was sitting home after my surgery during my recovery, and I was like, well, what can I do? I'm just bored. When I was in the hospital, the social worker had put me in contact with the American Cancer Society. So I called them one day and just asked them what services they had, what they did. So they told me about a Reach to Recovery program that they have, which is what they do, pair breast cancer women up with other breast cancer women that's going through it. And they come to your home or to the hospital, and they talk about what they went through to help you to be able to go through your recovery period a little better. And I said, wow, this is really a good thing, because when you are going through it initially, you have no clue what to expect. Right. You don't know some of the things that you can or cannot do. So to have someone who's already gone through what you're getting ready to go through, to come and sit and talk with you and expound on what they went through and the different things they did, I thought that was really a wonderful outreach program. So I became a Reach to Recovery volunteer for the American Cancer Society. So that's how I got started with doing breast cancer, ministry that I now do today.
And how did you hear about the Sisters Network?
I heard about Sisters Network. I was down in Trenton doing a show such as this on breast cancer, and the other lady on the panel with me was president of Sisters Network for Newark. And when she explained to me that it was an African American breast cancer survivorship organization, I was like, wow, I would like to be a part of this, because I was going to a support group, but I was the only African American woman. And there were just some issues and things that when we talked, I couldn't relate to them and they couldn't relate to me.
Right.
So I started out actually in the Newark chapter. And after being in there for several months, I was like, wow, I'm going over here to Newark when where I live at, I'm sure they need the same
Right.
organization. So then I broke from there and I started a chapter for Passaic and Bergen County.
That's really wonderful. So it is a national organization, Sisters Network?
Yes, Sisters Network is a national organization. Our headquarters is in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Karen Jackson is the founder and CEO, and she's originally from Newark. And what happened when Karen was diagnosed with breast cancer, she's had the same issue. When she went to support groups, no women there looked like her. So she started the organization as just a chapter for a support group. And then once you get into, you find out that women that are going through breast cancer need more than just support.
Right.
They need services. And so it started out, and then also with the educational piece, the lack of knowledge that a lot of us have in relationship to breast cancer. So it started out as a support group organization. Then it went from support to education, and from education into service. So now we do all three.
Well, did you actually at one time do that? You counseled?
Well, I'll say counsel. I'm not, I don't have a degree to do it,
Okay.
but I do go to classes and seminars and different things. I stay up to date on what's going on with breast cancer as far as the latest medicines and treatments and stuff that they have. I try to stay connected to my community, to the services that are out there, because when women are going through breast cancer, they have financial needs, emotionally,
Yes.
where to go for certain services. So there's a whole big piece to this other than just the breast cancer piece of it.
Nancy, I'd like to ask you, how did you meet Cheryl? I'm so sorry.
I met Cheryl through a meeting. My girlfriend, she wanted me to come to the meeting because I had just finished my chemo. And she kept talking to me all through the chemo. She wanted me to come, and I said, no. I just did not want to be bothered. But after I finished the chemo, she told me, you're going whether you like to or not, and that's just it. And I tried to put it off as much as possible. And then they had the jazz gospel brunch, and she goes, you're coming to the brunch.
Where'd you have that?
That was at the Bethwood.
Okay.
That was back in 2005 or maybe 4 or 5 I went. And let me tell you, that gospel jazz brunch was so inspiring. It uplifted my heart so. I needed that. And I felt if I needed that in my life going through this, how about all the other women out there that weren't saying anything needed something like this also? So I met Cheryl at the brunch that day. And working with my girlfriend Ruth Ann, and I would do things for her behind the scenes. I still had not come. I just wouldn't come. But I would do things for her. She'd ask me to do something. I would do it. And finally I said, okay, I'll come to a meeting. And then I came to a meeting and met Cheryl again, and we talked, and it was uplifting, and the support was great.
We're getting ready to take a break, but before we do, I want you both to think about an answer to this question. Do you think it's important for the spouses, the children, and other family members, perhaps, of cancer survivors or people who are dealing with it, going through it, to attend meetings as well?
I think if there are meetings around, that it really is, because when someone has breast cancer, it's a trickle-down effect. Of course, it affects the family members and your loved ones, or the caregivers or caregiver. The national organization, at one of our national conference, they had a workshop for the spouses of breast cancer survivors, because a lot of times the spouses, they don't really know how to really go about trying to
react.
Yes, and so that is an important piece, and they do need to have some kind of support themselves for the family members and the loved ones. Yes.
Hold that thought, because when we come back, I'm going to ask you how well attended it was. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with these two very, very prolific cancer survivors, Miss Cheryl Walters and Miss Nancy Robinson. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll continue our conversation in a few minutes.
Thank you.
Yes. Welcome back to Impact. Adele Hicks, your host here, and we have Nancy Robinson, Vice President of Sisters Network. I'm so sorry, I'm getting mental block here. And we have Cheryl Walters, President of Sisters Network. We left off with a question. We want to answer that and then move right on. Was the support group meeting well attended by spouses or family members of cancer survivors?
Yes, it really was. A lot of the men of the women, the husbands and significant others was at that conference, and they loved it. It was really a success. Yes, it was.
Happy to hear that.
Yes.
All right, that sounds good to me. Now, what is Stop the Silence? Would you explain that?
Stop the Silence is because a lot of African American women who have breast cancer or when they're diagnosed do not talk about it. So that's, one of our missions, to stop women from being silent about the disease, because there's cures out there's things that can help them have a better quality of life. But if no one is talking to you or you're not getting the information and you're just sitting at home kind of like hiding, you're not going to have a good quality of life. So we want to encourage women to speak out when they have breast cancer, so that they can be educated on services and how to treat it or how they can be treated. So that's what Stop the Silence is all about.
Okay, Nancy, I have a question for you. Is it projected that the mortality rate among African American women is going to exceed that of non-African women?
No, because it does not mean that statement does not mean that we die more. We do die more. Yes, we do. Oh my God.
Take your time. That's
We
all
do
right.
die more, only because of our social economic, where we live, our jobs. Sometimes we don't have the insurance that our Caucasian sisters have. They have access to the best doctors because their insurance and their husbands cover it. Our African American women don't have sometimes husbands that have that insurance that will take them.
So actually, diagnosis is the problem.
Diagnosis, yes. They wait. They know something's wrong sometimes, but they try to ignore it, and that's the worst thing. Early detection is the best. And they don't have that sometimes. And it works on you. It's a stressful situation. And by the time they get to a doctor and completely diagnosed, it's into a level where, it didn't have to go.
Right.
So we die more from it. We don't get breast cancer as much as our Caucasian sisters.
Oh.
But we do die at a higher rate more than our Caucasian sisters.
That makes a lot of sense that we're not getting diagnosed. I think there's a fear factor in there as well.
Exactly.
Is there a fear factor that I might have cancer, I'm not going to go to the doctor and find out if I do?
Exactly.
Yes, some women don't want to know.
Yeah.
Some women don't want to know. And the other thing also why we die more from breast cancer is they don't do a lot of studies on the African American women. And there has been found that you or I could go for a mammogram this year, nothing. We could go back next year, and we could be a stage 2 or stage 3 in breast cancer. So they have not figured out why breast cancer becomes so aggressive with us. And usually in a younger African American woman, especially 40 and under, Usually when they get breast cancer, it's more aggressive than if they're older. So there's different variables that it's more aggressive in us, and they really don't know why. I mean, they do say our diet, and there's different reasons. If you don't, if you never had a child, or if you had your first child after the age of 30, it could be your family history, and then sometimes it's none of that. So those things make it so that's why we die more from it. So they need to do more studies.
And I'm also a proponent of breast self-exam. I detected a lump in my breast when I think I was 25. It was benign. However, do you think it's a good thing for African mothers to teach their daughters as soon as they start their menstrual, they need to start self-examining so that they can get familiar with the formation of the breast and know when something's a little bit different?
Oh, definitely, because we're a breed of people that we have so many types. We're Indian, we have Indian blood going. We don't know, what we came over with. And that's been discussed so many times. At a clinical trial, they were discussing about all the bloodlines that African American, how it runs. So we don't know.
Yeah, I never thought of that.
They brought that up, and I thought that was very interesting. So we don't know. So it's very important for the young women today to get out and make sure that they have good breast health.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the pink ribbon walk. Is that
The pink ribbon awareness that we do.
I'm sorry, pink ribbon awareness, yes.
We do that in churches because, with the African American community, church is where we usually begin all of our
Right.
whatever. And the pink ribbon is just to educate. We go into the church, if they're having a program, if the pastor allows us to come in on a Sunday morning, we give out pink ribbons and we give out information on breast cancer, health. So we can do it in any kind of format as long as we're doing it at a church. And that's where we usually get your biggest audience for African American women. So that's why we, as a national organization, as a chapter, we to be in compliance, we have to do pink ribbon awareness.
Okay, that sounds good. I noticed your pin there. It's really beautiful. Tell me about that pin.
This pin is made specifically and especially for Sisters Network. And if you'll see, it says Sisters Network. And this is our logo.
Where does it say that?
Right here, it says Sisters Network.
Oh, okay.
And this is our logo, which is actually the United States with the pink ribbon in the middle and two faces. There's two faces facing each other. And this is our logo.
Was that designed by an African American?
No, it wasn't designed by an African American.
It's not important. It gives
Yes.
the message anyway.
Yes, we do have pink ribbon, kente cloth pink ribbons that was done by one of our presidents of one of our chapters in North Carolina. Yes.
Okay. Let's see if I have any more questions for you. Okay. The taxis on us. I love that. Our director producer, TR, was availed of this service. She said it was a godsend. I want you to explain taxis on us. What is that?
Taxi on Us is a service that we provide to an African American woman with breast cancer to take her to either her doctor's appointments or for treatments.
No charge.
No charge. We have a contract with a taxi service, so if a lady needs to go, they call me and tell me where they need to go. I call the taxi service and I say, please pick this woman up at this address. This is where she's going, what time, and then when she needs to come back home, she'll let them know. They'll go back, pick her up, and bring her home. Because I found in doing this ministry that a lot of women have a problem with transportation. I mean, even when you have family members, they cannot continue when you're going through months of treatment to take off to take you. And even we do it that way because even if they was to get reimbursed, sometimes women don't have the money to lay out and then get reimbursed. So we get grant money to do this. And like I said, so if they have to go to the doctors or even for their treatment, we will provide that service for them.
That is so wonderful. So wonderful.
Yes.
So tell us something else we need to know about Sisters Network before we sign off.
We have other services. I mean, when we have the funds, we will help them with their medicine. We've helped them pay rent.
Wow.
We help them with their electric, their heat, when we have the money. National has a program what they call the BCAP, and we can also, I could say to National, I have a woman here and she needs money for X, Y, and Z, and I can also draw from National and get money to help them financially.
So wonderful.
Yes. And me as doing fundraising, I'm looking forward to getting out networking with people, getting funds in, so we have our own BCAP. So women in this area can come to us if they need help, if they need food, if they need $100 food card. We have that there for them. But, you know,
Yeah, and
it
it's so
takes
important
time.
to take your medicine, or, you know,
Exactly.
because
Yes.
that would be a hindrance if you can't afford it and you're embarrassed to go to someone.
Exactly.
Sometimes you're even
That
embarrassed to go
happens
to family, so you do without. And
Yes.
You cannot
terrible.
do
Yes.
that with breast cancer. You have to have your
Yes.
medication.
Yes. So there are needs, when you're going through breast cancer, it's not just breast cancer. Women lose their jobs, they lose their insurance coverage, and when they lose insurance coverage, they don't always get the same treatment, medical treatment that they was.
I heard that.
I know
That's
that
the
for,
same.
yeah, I know that for a fact. So there's a lot of great need out there for women that are going through breast cancer. And we just need to be out there supporting one another, encouraging one another, and educating one another.
And I think that's so key, the encouragement, you know, to keep on keeping on. Like T told us when we had a break that if it wasn't for the taxi service, you know, she doesn't know how she would have made it. Not only that, she was attending school and her chemo treatments.
Right.
So, you know, you want people to stay on a positive note.
Yes.
You want them to have something to look forward to. So if they can't make their appointments, sometimes people just give up.
Yes.
You know, I can't do this, so I'm not going to do anything. And I'm sure you've run into people like that who just give up because
You
they
don't
don't
need-
see a way.
You don't need added stress during this time.
Exactly.
And for her to go as far as she had to go, and her daughter could not get off to take her because she's, you know, into the police enforcement.
Right.
You just can't take off from a job, and your children.
They can't stop their lives
Right.
to help you. They may want to, but it's not something that can happen.
Right.
You said you had 2 daughters, right?
Yes.
So have you gotten them involved in what
Oh,
you're doing?
I make them work. They,
Yes.
Well, good.
they help out their volunteers with our chapter. They come in, whatever needs to be done. They
That's a
help
good
out.
thing. And do you have children?
I have one daughter and I have a granddaughter,
Okay.
but they left me and they live in Delaware now.
Oh, well, then you have someplace to go on vacation.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
But-
How old is your granddaughter?
She's 11.
Okay.
Yeah, she's 11. Yeah.
All right. And do you have other family? Oh, this is another thing. It's so important to know your family history,
Yes.
to know if this is something that's prevalent in the family. Now, years ago, you just didn't talk about that, you know. I'm saying when I was a kid, a long
Yes.
time ago, you never talked about things like this. You just, whatever.
And sometimes women still do not talk about it. And the other thing about your family history that we need to know, a lot of times we tend to look on our mother's side,
Yeah.
and we don't tend to look on our father's side. But it is very important that you know your father's side, because even like for me, on my mother's side, we could not find anyone with breast cancer going back 2 generations. But on my father's side, I had 2 first cousins. One cousin died from breast cancer, and the other one is still living. But a lot of times we just tend to look on mommy's side. We don't tend to look on our father's side. But it's
I never
important.
thought of that.
Yeah, but it's very important to also know your father's side, the history, on daddy's side also.
Right.
Well, thank you for that information. Everything was so informative tonight. It's like I didn't get enough. You know, I know some people who are cancer survivors, and I know a couple of people who didn't survive, but just some of these things never entered into my mind. Thought, like, look on your father's side.
Yes.
It's always been your mother's side.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I really, really thank you guys for being here. You're doing a wonderful, wonderful job. God has blessed you because guess what? You both look like you're just so in the spirit.
Yes.
That's very important.
It
You look
is.
calm,
It
you
is.
look at peace with yourself and at peace with what you're doing. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yes, it is.
Yes, God has been good. I know to me
Yes.
He's been wonderful to me. He's brought me through this, and He's allowed me to be able to help other women, which to me is a gift to me, to be able to help someone else.
Yes.
On that thought, I think we're going to leave it right there. Just repeat what you just said a little louder for our listening audience.
I said, God has truly blessed my life, and it's just a blessing, and it has blessed my life for me to be able to help other women that are going through breast cancer.
And see, that's the key. The key is when you're blessed, what do you do with that blessing?
You pass
You
it on.
bless.
Pass it on.
Yeah.
Ladies, thank you so, so much. And remember, knowledge has impact.
Yes.
So the knowledge that you've given us and our viewers tonight is just beyond compare. Just can't match anything that I've heard. And I thank you again. This is Adele Hicks. We're going to say adieu to Nancy Robinson, Vice President of the Bergen-Passaic County Chapter of Sisters Network, and Mrs. Walters, Cheryl Walters,
Yes.
the President of Sisters Network. If you want to hear more about the services that they offer and Sisters Network period, which I hope you do, you should want to know, just go to our website. You'll find it at the address at the bottom of your screen. Please tune in and get to know more about them. You might want to go to one of the meetings that they're having. So whenever you hear Sisters Network, make sure you make yourself available. Thank you and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Whew. Yeah, I think that's it. I think so.
Thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed the show. Impact is a nonprofit project. All staff are volunteers. If you are from the city of Paterson, New Jersey and would like to join our staff or would like to be a guest on our show, please contact me, TR, at jteproductions@ymail.com or jteproductions.webs.com. I hope you enjoyed the show. Blessings, and tune in to next time.